Guys, our friends at Geology are celebrating their 5-year anniversary, and they're doing it with their biggest offer ever. Geology is a 24-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care company that creates simple and effective skincare and hair care routines customized just for you. All of their products are made with scientifically proven ingredients trusted by dermatologists and cosmetic chemists. I have been pairing the Deep Jasmine and Clove Hannah Super Clean Body Wash with the natural deodorant in the same scent, and I smell amazing. I've gotten a lot of compliments, and I'll tell you what, it's been simple. You take a 30-second diagnostics quiz, and their team of dermatologists will design a personalized routine that is shipped directly to your door. Right now, for a limited time, they are hooking you up with an absolute insane offer. Use my code CHAEL70 or scan the QR code on the screen, and they will give you an exclusive 70% off their award-winning skincare trial set. On top of that, you can get 30% on the add-on products of your choice when you add it to your trial. This is one of the best offers you will ever see. Get it before it's gone. Head to geology.com to level up your hygiene routine, or just click on the link below. Chimaev and Paulo Costa. So we got an opinion on this by one guy who we would really like to get an opinion on it from, which was Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns went out there and felt Chimaev for 15 minutes. 3 licensed judges believe that Gilbert Burns won a round. Many people think that he won 2 rounds. I mean, I'm just sharing with you, like, if anyone has the right to an opinion, I think we can all agree that it's Gilbert. And Gilbert went with the same breakdown that you would. If it stays on the feet, good for the Terminator, meaning Paulo Costa. If it goes to the ground with Chimaev on top, good for Chimaev. And, okay, fine. That probably doesn't surprise you and maybe even bores you just a little bit, but he wasn't done. Gilbert said the difference in this fight is going to be decided in the clinch. Now you have my attention, Gilbert. That's an interesting analysis. And who would you favor in that? And that's a really hard one. There's not a ton of times in a fight that strength matters. Strength helps, but there's not a ton of times that it matters. Like, just to give you an example from boxing, the question for boxers as it comes to lifting weights, is it bad for you or is it really bad for you? Right? Like, there's times when those muscles and that strength is not something that you want to turn to. I will tell you right now, the clinch is the exception. And when I look at Paulo Costa, and I'm judging a book by its covers, I've never grabbed a hold of him, but boy, does he ever look strong. Like, intimidatingly strong. And now we're seeing photographs coming out of Chimaev. Joe Rogan did a piece on this where he was showing the pictures of Chimaev. I'm talking about, man, this guy's a beast and this guy is huge. And I appreciate that Joe went down that route because these 2 guys do have one thing in common. Chimaev and Paulo Costa have one competitive piece of nature in common, which is neither one of them respects the scale. But I feel like that is one of the bigger talking points of this whole thing, right? If you're going to go over to DraftKings and you're going to take odds on this, are they going to make weight, right? Is one of them going to miss weight, or are they both going to miss weight? And the way that we got to this fight is like no other fight I've seen. I mean, just to remind you of the timeline, I personally went on Errol Hawani's show, and I got credit for this, right? Aaron Bronstetter from Canada, a massive player in that country and in our sport as a whole, gives me credit for this. I am the one that reported that these 2 were going to fight. I even reported that it was going to be October 22nd. Now, I'm not looking to be the guy that breaks news. I had just spoke to him, so I just happened to have, as I go on Ariel's show. But from the time that I announced that fight was broken up. And Paulo Costa was sent to Salt Lake City. He was going to return to Salt Lake City. That is where he had his last fight against Luke Rockhold, which was fight of the night. He was a huge star, huge pop from the crowd. They're going to send him back to that same audience, and he's going to take on a Russian kickboxer. And that one was a little bit of a head scratcher. And I am not attempting to disrespect that Russian kickboxer. He is very good, and I have read his record. I'm just got to refer to him as the Russian kickboxer because I don't know his name. And I don't know his name because neither do you, and we don't know his name because he hasn't fought on TV on pay-per-view against top-ranked guys. None of that is to discount his abilities and his skills, by the way. I'm just sharing with you, you have a main event guy like Paulo Costa who's going to go and take on Chimaev on an undercard of a main event that isn't yet set. And once it gets set, it's a 4-1 spread that people aren't overly interested in. I mean, not for nothing. We really need Chimaev and Paulo, it would seem, on that card, but they broke it up. They broke it up and sent Paulo Costa to Salt Lake City. And Paulo Costa did the entire training camp. And there was no opponent for Chimaev. And this wasn't a case of like a revolving door. Nobody wanted to get called for Chimaev. Nobody wanted to be that guy. And whoever they did call an offer to, which I'm sure they did do, we never heard about. And I miss those days. I really do miss the days, right? Like, if a guy agrees to a fight and makes this huge announcement, when a guy bitches out of a fight, there should still be the huge announcement, right? Because there's people like us that want to know. I want to know. I know every Saturday 11 guys are going to fight. I want to know who did it. I mean, I just personally find that interesting. And I do got to give a pass to Jared Cannonier because Jared Cannonier did say he wanted to fight Chimaev. As a matter of fact, we all believed that it was going to be Cannonier versus Chimaev simply by a process of elimination. Not to mention, it has been stated on the record by Dana at least once that if Chimaev was to fight at middleweight and declare himself a middleweight, not up and down, he would only need one victory to then draw into a title shot. So we just assumed it would be a top guy. I'm offering you, I'm still on the Jared Cannonier and where that rumor came from. So they break the fight. They send Paulo to Salt Lake City. Now, Paulo's got to change his lifestyle to make weight. He's got to have a training camp. He's got to bring in partners. He's got coaches. He's got a manager that did his job and got him a fight. I mean, right? Like, there's a lot of things. 6 days prior to the travel day, 6 days prior to Paulo Costa getting on an airplane and traveling to Salt Lake, they break the fight up. That represents 13 days before the fight itself. And we've never seen that. We've seen fights fall apart. They fall apart all the time. We've seen guys chicken out, blame injuries and illness and everything in between, fights they were never planning to do, but we haven't had the organization break up a fight between two willing and able athletes. We haven't seen that before. So there was something going on, it would assume, about getting a meaningful opponent for Chimaev. There was something with those phone right. I'm telling you, I want to hear these people that are saying no. Well, apparently there was enough people to say no that they had to go back to Paulo Costa and take him back to this fight. Now, the only reason I'm giving you the timeline is there is a lot on that. And if you're going to break up a fight 6 days before you board an airplane, right? The guy's got his weight under control. The guy's starting to taper. The guy's starting to back off. He's probably got one hard workout left. He has a maximum of 2, which just means his training partners and his trainers did their job. They would like to be paid 10%. And I don't believe that you are going to step in and break up a match, understanding all of those things, without sweetening the pot. That's my belief. I don't have any evidence of this, by the way. I don't believe you're going to get a guy to say no to a payday 13 days from now to get the exact same pay 3 months from now. I don't think so. Unless you sweeten the pot, which would mean you've told them it's a number 1 contenders match. And for me, that's just a very interesting point. Because when you look at the calendar, right, du Plessis was the number 1 contender. This was announced. This was announced by the biggest voice in the world, Joe Rogan. And 44 minutes later, it was announced by du Plessis that his foot hurt and he wasn't going to do it. So then you have Sean Strickland as number 1 contender. And I only bring that to you. You can't have 2 number 1 contenders at the same time. It doesn't work. I mean, just by the definition, like, these aren't Chael's rules. This is the dictionary. So you can only have 1, and that 1 is Sean Strickland. So what do you do with du Plessis? All signs are pointing to you're going to go grab du Plessis right after this fight. You're going to grab him on the night of September 16th. All signs are pointing to that. But on October 22nd, we have what I believe has already been promised to be a title fight. I don't have that evidence, by the way. I've laid out my case for why I've come to that conclusion, but I do want to make it clear I don't have that information. But that one piece of drama would throw such an incredible interest because, by the way, you can't make everybody, you could go make that promise to these two guys, you're number one contender, whoever wins this comes out, you're the number one contender. You can go and make that promise. But if Adesanya calls out du Plessis, he's going to fight du Plessis. Now, you can still honor that deal. You're just going to have to honor it in June or July of next year. Right? The most important part of a contract is the date. If I tell you I'm going to give you $1 million, you're going to be very excited. I'm a man of my word. If I come back and tell you at a penny a year for the next 100 million years, you're not going to be quite as happy. That date really is what makes it. And I'm just sharing for you. It's an incredible storyline going into this. I would love to have these details that I just speculated about. I put my guess for it, but I would love to have those answers. And I love that Gilbert Burns was asked and took the time to give a breakdown. And Gilbert Burns says this fight is going to be decided in the clinch. You want to know what the problem is for me? I don't remember either one of them spending a ton of time in the clinch. I have seen them clinch. They have been there. But Paulo Costa loves to break free. Boom, boom, boom. I can tell you more fights where he broke out of a clinch and started coming off it with some big power. I can tell you more times that Chimaev touched a clinch, but then turned that into a takedown, whether it was a body lock, drop to a double, inside trip. Like, I've seen those positions, and I have them off the top of my head. I haven't seen them spend a period of time there. Like, take a Randy Couture, by example, who do the whole fight right there in the clinch, right? Teach us all something. It's a very interesting analysis by Gilbert Burns. Also, I think Gilbert's right.